Does love matter when it comes to the one we want to spend the rest of our lives with? I guess you will find out soon enough. In the opening scene of What's Love Got to Do with This, we see a typical Muslim wedding by a Pakistani family called Khan. This is an arranged marriage between Farouk and Yasmin. In another scene, Zoe receives a text from her mom asking where she is. This is when she remembers she is supposed to attend a wedding and starts rushing out of the house. Some of the previous text shows the mom has been the one reminding her about the wedding because she might forget. While Zoe rushes down to the wedding, the ceremony, on the other hand, is buzzing with dances and celebrations with ladies in their Pakistani attire while still respecting their Muslim religion. Khan's family grandmother sees Zoe's mom adding alcohol to her drink, and she is unhappy about it and makes sure Zoe's mom sees the reaction on her face. Zoe gets to the wedding while everyone is dancing, and her mom invites her to join her to dance. Zoe greets the groom's mom, Auntie Aisha, and she receives a beautiful compliment from her. Then Zoe's phone rings and steps out to receive the call. It is a call from her movie producers. She tells them on the phone that she has other ideas and bids them goodbye. This is when Zoe hears Kaz talking to her from the top of a treehouse. She asks him what he is doing in the treehouse, and he tells her he's being sneaky as always. Zoe is surprised Kaz's family still doesn't know he smokes, and she joins him on the tree. He says they are happy, and he is getting married. Zoe is surprised to hear Kaz is getting married, but she still congratulates him and also asks about the lucky lady. This is when Kaz tells her he is going old school with an arranged marriage, which is now called assisted marriage. Zoe is not buying the idea and calls it assisted stating she can't get her head around marrying someone she doesn't know. Kaz replies that marrying someone you don't know might be better than marrying someone you know. Kaz asks Zoe if she never wants to get married. Zoe says that never is a bit harsh and that she is still looking for the one. Zoe asks about Jamila, Kaz's little sister, and Kaz tells her she is not able to come to the wedding. They both decide to head back inside when Kaz tells Zoe that the tree will soon be cut down, and this makes Zoe sad, because of the memories it holds for them. Zoe and her mom leave the wedding, and while heading home, Auntie Aisha brings them a basket of biryani. While at it, Zoe's mom challenged Auntie Aisha for not telling her that Kaz agreed she should look for a wife. Auntie Aisha wants the conversation to end as soon as it begins, but Zoe's mom is too focused on how lucky they are for Kaz to allow them to pick a wife for him. Zoe's mom hopes Zoe will allow her to do the same for her. They said goodnight and left one another. The next scene opens with Zoe trying to sell her movie idea to Ali and Sam, and they say all the ideas she submitted are not what they are looking to work with yet, as they are looking for something that can rate them. They call it something upbeat. While they want to end the meeting, Zoe pitches another idea. She says her next idea is to arrange marriages in modern multicultural Britain. They first didn't fully get it, so Zoe explains that her childhood buddy from Pakistan is planning an arranged marriage, and that she can accompany him on his quest to wed the stranger selected by his parents. This catches their attention a little bit, and they ask questions to learn more. Zoe then says she can interview some other British people with arranged marriages, whether they are married or unhappy. Then they begin to deliberate on the perfect movie title. Sam suggests My Big Fat Arranged Wedding, according to Zoe's explanation, while some refer to it as assisted marriage. Then Zoe suggests the title should be Love Contractually, and they both love it. They ask Zoe if the Kaz family was on board, and she said yes. However, the next scene shows Kaz saying no to the request from Zoe. Over the phone, Zoe tries using different methods to make Kaz agree to her request to make a movie about his journey to marry a stranger. Zoe asks if Kaz is not proud to be a Muslim, and while Kaz replies that he is a proud Muslim, there is a woman on the same public bus with him who inappropriately looks at him. Zoe keeps begging Kaz all through the day. She begs him when he is at work, on break, and at home. The next day, Zoe still keeps begging Kaz to allow her to film his journey and even tries to blackmail him with how he sneaks around to smoke. Kaz eventually invites Zoe to play table tennis, saying if Zoe wins the game, he will allow her to film his journey. The next scene shows Kaz and Zoe playing table tennis, and while at it, Zoe asks Kaz, "What about love?" Kaz tells him that love doesn't need to come from the beginning. You can eventually grow in love with the person you are with. Zoe is still surprised Kaz is going with the arranged marriage despite his parents not forcing him. Kaz then states that the rate of divorce currently in the UK is 55%. Kaz explains that he has seen arranged marriage work, which is why he is doing it. Zoe then wins the table tennis by slamming the egg into Kaz's part of the table without him being able to return it, which means she will be working on filming his journey for the movie. Zoe begins work immediately and starts recording Kaz. She asks Kaz on camera how arranged marriage is different from dating apps while he is about to enter the house. Kaz calls it a 3D Halotinder that is operated by parents. The next scene shows the Kaz family trying to introduce themselves to the camera while they find the best match with an expert. Zoe wants them to focus on what they are there to do and assume she is not there, and they all comply. The matchmaker then announces himself and starts asking what type of lady the groom wants. Kaz's dad, Zahid, complains when he hears Kaz saying he wants someone he can click with easily. Zahid says what he needs is a companion, not a click. Kaz's mother wants a soft-spoken lady with Swedish composure. The matchmaker gives them some lists without photos and says Kaz needs to think with his brain and not his manhood, which is why he is not giving him pictures yet. While all this is going on, Zoe keeps recording the process with her camera. They all want a practicing Muslim, but Kaz is not a conservative person. This is when the matchmaker notices he has given them a male list and not a female list when he is seeing beards or no beards. The Kaz family doesn't mind the lady's niqab because they are a modern family. Kaz also thinks that as long as he and the lady are on the same wavelength, it doesn't matter if she is a full-time housewife or a career lady. Kaz is open to any background, but his parents will always prefer Pakistan. The matchmaker asks Kaz about his education, and he says he has finished medical school, which means he is a doctor. The matchmaker asks if there is anything else like smoking, but Kaz lies that he doesn't smoke. The matchmaker promises them to find a match, and Zahid then suggests that the lady should not have a pet like a dog, but Kaz says a cat can be acceptable. After meeting the matchmaker, Kaz's parents are interviewed by Zoe, and Auntie Aisha explains that she met her husband on their wedding day, and what they only saw was a photograph. Their parents are friends, and they arrange them together. Zahid mentions how he calmed Auntie Aisha down when the power went off during their wedding ceremony, and that was the beginning of their connection. They are telling the story like they are experiencing it all over again, and you can see the joy on their faces. They are happy that their parents made the best choice for them. Zoe is seen setting questions for different people in the Khan family, which include questions for Farouk and Yasmin. Some of the questions are about how much time they spend together getting to know one another. While she is working on this, she receives a text from a friend, Helena, who wants her to come and babysit her children because she wants to have fun with her husband. She leaves all she is doing and goes to her friend. In the next scene, different pictures of guys are being graded by Helena's children. Lily, one of Helena's daughters, reads the quote from one of the guys that says, "My mantra is that you have to enjoy the rain if you want to see the rain." Their father comes in, and they are excited to see him. Zoe takes Lily and Maud away so that her friend can enjoy some alone time with her husband. She takes them to the room and starts telling them a Cinderella story. While this story is going on, it seems to be a story coined out of Zoe's life, but expressed to the children as a story. She tells a different once upon a time story of Cinderella meeting a different prince that Cinderella is not happy with and that she is fine without a boring prince. The next scene shows the matchmaker addressing everyone who is there for matchmaking and telling them to meet one another. Kaz is also in the group while Zoe is recording. They start explaining what they want, and Kaz says he wants someone who is British enough for him and Pakistani enough for his family. The next scene shows how confused Zoe is. She asks Kaz what if there is no chemistry between him and the person he is being matched with. Asking him also about intimacy before marriage, Kaz says he is not sure if he believes in sleeping with someone after marriage. This shows a little bit of tension between Zoe and Kaz, which makes Zoe ask Kaz for a drink, but he declines because he has lunch with his parents since it's Mother's Day. They both head out, and as they are about to enter their different family apartments because their families are neighbors, Auntie Richie comes out to greet Kaz and also greet Zoe, who responds in a non-correct Muslim way of greeting. Zoe's mom comes out and responds with the proper Muslim way of greeting, and they all enter their houses. Zoe's mom tells her why she likes the Khans because they have been a good family to her since her husband left her for another woman. Her mom cooks for Zoe. Then she notices her dog is behaving badly. She then persuades Zoe to help take the dog to James the vet the next day. At the Khan family's place, while eating, Farouk asks Kaz if he was able to find someone already, but he says he did not click with anyone. Zahid suggests that too many options are the major problem with people not finding the right person. Then his parents open up about the arrangement with the lady from Lahore. Farouk decides to concentrate on eating the food because he didn't want to be an accomplice. Kaz is surprised, but more surprised by the fact that the lady is from Pakistan, because he fears he won't have anything in common. But his father Zahid believes he has culture, religion, and many other things in common, including the fact that they have the same surname. They try to convince him and say they are meeting the family on Skype in the evening. Farouk and Yasmin talk about their matchmaking story. Their parents wanted them to meet because they are friends, but they refused to meet. They met somewhere else and connected from there, and they agreed to meet again, which is how they ended up marrying one another. Kaz joins the Skype call with Maymuna, the lady who has arranged it for him. Maymuna looks gentle and quiet. Zoe is recording all through this period. Their discussion on the Skype call is awkward, especially when Kaz is supposed to mention his sister, but cannot. When Kaz asks how Maymuna feels about traveling to London, all the family members that are hiding come into the video frame, which reveals they have been on the call right from the beginning, and this displeases Kaz. Zoe brings her mom's dog to James the vet, and after checking for a few minutes, he tells Zoe that the dog is good. This is where James mentions how much Zoe's mom has said about her, and Zoe feels embarrassed. While Zoe is stepping out, James asks her for a drink, but she declines. Next scene, Zoe sings happy birthday to her mom. While at it, Zoe's friend Helena starts calling, which is a distraction for Zoe. Getting to Helena's place, Zoe learns that Helena's man has been cheating, and he made a mistake by texting Helena instead of the other lady. Zoe is so disappointed, while Helena is crying. Zoe and the kids start another Cinderella story about a Cinderella who had a bad week and decided to let herself go to a wolf, and she allows the wolf to eat her. This is the exact story of Zoe sleeping with a man she met at the club who she doesn't know, only to realize that he is a married man the next day. Zoe feels bad about this and heads home. At Kaz's training ground, Zoe starts another recording. Kaz explains that the news he has for Zoe is that he is now engaged, likes her, and will be getting married in a month. Zoe asks if Kaz is not worried about the age gap, and he says since the girl is intelligent, he doesn't mind. Based on what happened to Zoe the previous night, she was a little off while doing the interview. Kaz suggests she needs a holiday in Lahore, where he will be getting married. In the next scene, Zoe's mom welcomes her and James into the house to reconnect them again before they head to the airport for Kaz's wedding. Her mom laughs too much at everything James says, and while they are all discussing, Zoe tells her mom that Helena's husband, Hardy, is having an affair. She says most men will cheat if they are sure they won't be caught, but her mom says James will not cheat, and he also confirms it. While they are about to eat, Kaz enters, and they all set out to the airport, leaving behind James and the dog. James and Zoe try to hug, but it looks awkward, and they forget about it. On the plane, Kaz asks Zoe who James is, and Zoe explains that her mom is trying to match her with him, but he is not her type. Kaz asks Zoe what her type is, and she doesn't know. Zoe asks Kaz if he will cheat if he will never get caught, and he says he won't because God will know. On their way to the wedding location, Kaz looks disturbed, and after getting to where they will sleep, he goes to his mom to discuss it, but it seems his mom does not agree with what he wants. Zoe sees all this but doesn't know the details. Auntie Aisha also shared the Khan grandmother's arranged marriage story, which shows how happy she is when she gets married and that she didn't meet her husband till the wedding day. Even though Auntie Aisha's interpretation of her Urdu language is different, what they want him to know is that the arranged marriage works and their relationship is a good match. The next scene shows when the two marrying families see one another and the bride and groom also meet physically for the first time. Kaz asks if they can go out together, and she agrees. At first, we see just the two of them in movies before we later see that the family is also with them. Kaz and Maimuna start sharing their story, and Zoe asks how Kaz proposed, and he says it was his family that proposed to the Maimuna family. The two do not look like they have chemistry, and it all seems as if they are being forced to marry one another. Even their responses don't seem convincing. The next day starts with praying sounds from different mosques as Kaz decides to go see the fashion designer. Kaz leaves with Zoe, and while on the street, Zoe challenges him for using a line from a movie, Whatever Love Means, when she asked if they were in love the previous day. He looks unbothered while the designer adjusts his cloth. Zoe then asks what Kaz thinks of Maimuna when they step outside, and he says she is great. Kaz also explains the 3-day Muslim wedding, which starts with Mehndi, representing hen and stag nights, but just with parents. And the Nikah, which is the actual marriage, is the second day, followed by the Shadi and Walima. Zoe sees a collection of necklaces and decides to buy one. Kaz offers to wear the necklace for Zoe, and while doing it, Zoe feels something within. Kaz tells her that passion and chemistry are not the most important things in marriage. They both felt the tension between them and went to eat. While about to eat, Kaz tells the waiter Zoe is his friend and not wife, but Zoe says she is his first kiss, and Kaz looks as if he had forgotten, which made Zoe think he had forgotten. Zoe asked Kaz what the issue was with his mom, and he explained that it was because his sister, Jamila, was not coming to the wedding. She is missing out because she married a non-Muslim, which is wrong for a Muslim woman. This breaks the family's heart and also seems to be the reason the grandfather dies. And she didn't come for the burial ceremony. Zoe wants to film him explaining it, but Kaz doesn't agree. Kaz explains that choosing love over family is wrong. Zoe asks Kaz how they are different even though they grew up on the same street, and Kaz explains that his color is enough of a question for him in the community. Kaz leaves to pray after that. At night, Zoe checks Jamila on Facebook, and while at it, James asks her out through text. The next night is the Mehndi, and both the bride-to-be and groom-to-be come to the stage in different adorned clothes. After some pictures with the family and some dances, the older ones leave the ceremony. Zoe's mom also joins the dancing because she wants to experience the adventure. When the elderly leave the party, their friends turn up the music and bring in different drinks. Maimuna is seen making calls on one side, and Kaz also notices she is blonde for the first time. Maimuna introduces Taki to Kaz, and the greetings look awkward as Taki brings different drinks to the party. Maimuna is hoping Kaz will be able to loosen up a bit. Maimuna goes to the dance floor drunk and starts dancing erotically. Kaz and Zoe leave the party, and while they are going, Kaz hears a group singing about love. Kaz explains the lyrics and why love is dangerous. He believes that love is a dangerous mental illness. After leaving the group singing, there is an unusual quietness between Kaz and Zoe. They are going to bed, and then Kaz turns to Zoe and says that he didn't forget the kiss at the treehouse. This creates so much tension between them that it becomes difficult for both of them to sleep. Zoe tried sending messages several times in her room to Kaz, but she keeps deleting them so as not to do something bad. However, Kaz sees the typing symbol but doesn't say anything. The next day in the dining room, Zoe enters with her mom, who still has a hangover from the previous night. Kaz seems not to be interested in the topic everyone is talking about, so he decides to leave, and Zoe follows him. Auntie Aisha asked if the bride also danced the previous night. But while Zoe's mom was about to talk, Farouk saves the day by making sure she says she didn't. Zoe asks if she can do a recording of Kaz, and he agrees. She asks him how he is feeling. All questions seem to be to know if Kaz is not doubting getting married. She feels Kaz is pretending, and she flares up and tells Kaz not to marry someone he doesn't love. Kaz asks her what she wants for herself. He tells her to check herself to see if she is the problem in not finding the right relationship and asks her if it hurts less if she aims low and misses. This makes Zoe sad, and she leaves. Meanwhile, the grandmother is around the corner, and she tells Kaz to be careful and not break their hearts again. The wedding ceremony is a silent one as they proceed with the nikah, and Zoe keeps recording even though she is not happy while doing it. Maimuna cries when she leaves with Kaz, which is termed tradition, but she seems to be crying for another reason. The next scene shows Zoe telling the story of Beauty and the Beast to Helen's children. As always, she uses her story for the kids. How she started enjoying James' company after so many trials, even though he didn't sweep her off her feet and take her breath away. While Zoe is explaining the story to the kids, James hears the story and knows he is just the person Zoe is using as the Beast in the story. Zoe calls the Beast good enough and says that she is in like with the Beast but not in love with it. This makes James sad as he leaves. The next scene shows the night of the movie's rough cut. Zoe introduces her mom to Ali and Sam as they welcome everyone involved in the movie to the movie show. James is also present. Zoe asks Kaz how married life is, and he says it's fine. Kaz sees Zoe's boyfriend, James, and asks if she is happy, and she says she is. Maimuna also joins the conversation, and Zoe tries to warn Kaz that the movie is a rough cut and not yet out. They all go in to enjoy the movie, while Zoe gives a welcoming speech. Zoe explained how she thinks an arranged marriage is bad, but filming the movie made her believe it is good, and too much choice can also be a problem. All this while James has been observing the gesture between Zoe and Kaz when they are talking. While the movie is going on, Zoe leaves out of fear and anxiety, and James also comes looking for her and sees her outside. This is where James breaks up with her because he likes her and doesn't want to be her second choice. Even though Zoe is not sad about the breakup, she is more worried about what she will tell her mom. Inside, the movie shows Jamila and her husband explaining how it has been difficult for them to be away from the family, but their love is stronger. And their only regret is breaking their family's heart, and she will still choose him again if need be. After the movie, Kaz goes to Zoe disappointed. He didn't expect her to interview Jamila, despite his reservations on the subject. He calls it humiliation and says that is the reason they are different, even though their houses are very close together. Maimuna, on the other hand, thinks the movie is beautiful. The Khan family leaves quietly, and when Zoe's mom sees her, she asks about James, and she tells her that James has broken up with her. She is crying, and her mom thinks it's because of James, whereas it is because Kaz is not pleased with the movie. She leaves her mom and keeps calling Kaz, but he decides not to pick up her call and replies to her text. In the room, Kaz waits for Maimuna, and while she enters, her phone makes a sound. When Kaz tells her to get the phone, she instead gives it to Kaz, which shows messages indicating she is in love with someone else before the wedding. This surprises him and he asks why she didn't tell him. They both agree to pretend like everyone else. Zoe again uses the story of Sleeping Beauty and Snow White to explain how sad and depressed she is. She doesn't believe in happily ever after because she now believes it never happens in real life. In the next scene, Kaz's mom comes to see him in the hospital because he didn't pick up the call, and she is worried. She asks about their wedding and advises him to take his time and that his wedding will be successful in time. She also tells Kaz to bring his wife to their house for Eid because it's a family event. Kaz wants to get back to work, and his mom also explains that her prayer is always for Kaz's happiness, which is all that matters, while Kaz says all he wants to be is a good son. In the next scene, Ali and Sam send a voice message to Zoe that the production will be on pause for now due to some reasons, and this makes Zoe sadder. The next morning, Zoe is with her mom, and she is packing her clothes because she wants to travel to Turkey. Her mom is going to the Khans because it's Eid, but Zoe says she can't go because she believes all the Khans hate her and hate her movie. Zoe is so sad while speaking with her mom. Her mom tells her that she is not less of the daughter that she wants, even though she is single, and she admires Zoe's independence, but she only wants her to not be cut off from life and that she needs other people. She explains that she can find her village from the Khan, and she also wants her daughter to find her village, as it takes a village to raise a child. This emotional mother-daughter moment results in a hug. Zoe then receives a message from Kaz saying she should check her mail. There she sees the video of Kaz and his wife recording themselves for Zoe to make her movie more truthful, even though it might ruin her ending. The next scene shows the Khan family house as they are all excitedly celebrating Eid. All the excitement starts dissipating when Zoe's mom enters the house with Zoe, and tension builds in the house because they didn't expect Zoe to come into the house. Zoe says she wants to talk to Kaz, and Auntie Aisha says she has been talking a lot to all her children lately. She is referring to Zoe interviewing Jamila and her husband. Then Kaz enters, and the first thing his mom asks him is about Maymuna. He tells her she is not coming. Auntie Aisha then asks again why Maymuna is not with Kaz, and he explains that they are divorced because their marriage is more insistent than assisted. He also reveals that Maymuna is in love with someone else, and they don't want to pretend anymore. Everyone is silent and perplexed. Since Kaz sees he has the floor, he tells his family his biggest secret that he smokes and has been doing it since he was 15, and he drinks sometimes. Kaz's parents did not take the matter angrily, as Kaz thought they would. This pushed Kaz to complete his task for the day. He tells his mom that since she says Eid is about family coming together, through Zoe's movie they now know there is an important member of their family missing for too long. He then goes out to bring his sister, Jamila, and her husband. Jamila enters with her son in her hands. It is an emotional moment for all the Khans, but especially for Auntie Aisha. Auntie Aisha accepts her daughter and her grandson. Jamila then proceeded to her grandmother's room to beg for forgiveness and acceptance. The Khan grandmother accepts Jamila and her son with tears. The whole Khan family then comes together to celebrate with the grandmother. Zoe steps out when she sees everything is going well. Kaz, looking for Zoe, also steps out and starts calling Zoe, but she doesn't pick up. She eventually sends a text saying that she is at the treehouse, where Kaz goes to meet her. He climbs up and sits down with her. The tension between them makes them speechless, and Zoe couldn't find the words to express herself to Kaz. All she can ask is if Kaz wants to watch the whole TV series with her, and Kaz tells her they can take it one step at a time. Kaz and Zoe want to kiss, but Zoe is a bit hesitant because she has wanted it for so long and doesn't want to lose it again. She tells Kaz not to forget this kiss, and he lets her know that he did not forget the first kiss. They eventually kiss. The kiss starts slowly at first but ends up becoming a moment of romantic bliss between the two. Next scene, Zoe's mom is happy because she could not have arranged a better husband for Zoe than Kaz. Auntie Aisha mentions that they have been told this will happen to them because they are in London and Kaz goes to mid-university. Farouk and Yasmin move to another house down the same street. David, Jamila's son, is getting to know the family and spending more time with the Khan grandmother. Maymuna explains that her head cannot be on the spike because her parents take pride in her profession as a human rights lawyer. Kindly subscribe and like for more videos. Thank you for watching.